Hey guys, this is Elena from We Learn to Share, and in this video we're going to cover something that is called the coefficient of determination, or R square. Right? And before we go on, we're gonna just have a quick review of what we have learned in our previous video, which is the correlation coefficient R. And this value, the quantity R, was used to measure the strength and the direction of a linear relationship between two quantitative variables. I hope you guys from now on this point will totally remember the concept of correlation coefficient R. And today we're going to look at something that is slightly different from the correlation coefficient. So yeah, we're going to look at the coefficient of determination, which is R square. So the R square is the proportion of the variation in the response variable y that is predictable from the independent variable x. Or in other words, it is a fraction of the variation in the values of y that is accounted for by the least squares regression line of y on x. So in other words, you can say that it represents the percent of the data that is the closest to the line of best fit. And one more thing to remember, you should remember that as your value of the coefficient of determination R squared gets larger, you can say that you have a better LSRL model. And this is going to be the formula that you're going to use to interpret or to explain your coefficient of determination. So let me read this. R square percent of the variation in the response variable is explained by the least squares regression line using the explanatory variable and response variable. And let's look at the example. So let's say if the value of R square, or the coefficient of determination, is 0.68, then it means that the 68% of the total variation, right, total variation in y can be explained by the linear relationship between x and y. And in the previous video, we've looked at the example of the test score and the hours that the students spent studying for the exam. So if you apply that context in the question, you're going to say that 68% of test score variation, right? So the total variation in y will be equal to the test score variation, right? Is explained by the amount of time spent studying, which is the x value for the formula. Right? So I think the most important part to remember here is that the coefficient of determination is something that measures the variation, right? In the response variables, and that's variation, the proportion of the variation is accountable or is explained by the relationship between x and y. And larger the coefficient of determination is, the better LSR model it is. Right? So this will be the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to our channel and like this video. See you in the next video.